All right, the Sunday Roundtable ready to go. Joining us this morning, Boston Globe Associate Editor and columnist Adrienne Walker and Republican political analyst Rob Gray. Guys, thanks for being here on this St. Patrick's Day. A lot to unpack from our conversation with Congressman Jake Auchincloss. What stood out to you, Adrienne?
What stood out to me was what he said about TikTok. And, what a strange vote that was on that bill, You had Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ayanna Pressley on the same side. When is that going to happen again?
Rob?
Well, I think on Auchincloss, it's interesting. He's younger. He's more willing to consider bipartisan solutions, I think, than the rest of our delegation. So it's an interesting dynamic in terms of him versus the rest of the Massachusetts delegation.
What do you make of that TikTok vote, though? We had 4 members of the Massachusetts delegation, who, by the way, are all Democrats in the same party, but they voted no. The other 5 voted yes. Why the split here?
Well, first of all, I think it shows that only 55 voted no in the House. So I think a lot of our delegation is out of the mainstream on this. I mean, Jim McGovern said this is happening too fast. I mean, everybody complains about gridlock. Congress is finally doing something about a national security threat, and it's happening too fast. It doesn't make sense to me. It's interesting to me to see what are Senator Warren and Markey going to do if it gets to the Senate.
And Adrienne, this has been talked about. I mean, too fast. I mean, this has been talked about back to when Donald Trump was in the White House.
This has been out there for years. And the idea that you're not going to vote for it because it doesn't include these other things, write another bill to include the other things.
All right. Governor Healy, she is proposing pot pardons. She says this could affect hundreds of thousands of people. Declined to give an exact number, but she put it in that range. It is a sweeping blanket pardon for all misdemeanor possession convictions. Times have certainly changed. As a former attorney general who didn't always support it, this is a significant call, and she says she has evolved on this issue. I have to ask, is there any downside for her here, Rob?
Well, I think it looks a little bit political. Clearly, it's poll tested. We're seeing Democrats across the country and even nationally, the vice president this week out talking about this issue. It gets 70% support. I kind of shrug about it. Doesn't bother me that much. But I do think it feeds a little bit with Healy, a notion that she's being political. And is she a little bit soft on crime compared to Charlie Baker? She's closing prisons. She's done a lot of other pardons and commutations. I don't know.
What do you think, Adrienne?
I liken it to quarry reform, which we did in the state years ago. It's had no negative effects to speak of. And no, I don't think there's any political downside.
We talked to some people there who said that this has followed them around, and they've gone on to some successful careers, but say this is something that shouldn't have to follow me around at this point.
And it shouldn't. I don't see any good reason to keep this on the books.
All right,
let's turn to the presidential race. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, they now, in the last week, officially clinched their nominations, got the delegates that they needed. History was made last week also when Kamala Harris became the first vice president to visit a Planned Parenthood clinic. Democrats certainly are trying to make abortion the core issue in this campaign. Will it be the issue that might swing the election for Joe Biden? Adrienne?
It could be, and he desperately needs something to be the issue that's going to swing the election for him. But I think women are up in arms about what's going on with abortion and now IVF, and I think these are good issues for Democrats, absolutely.
Robbie, you had that kind of strong line with the Supreme Court justices, several of them sitting right there during the State of the Union. He said they're about to find out just how much political power women have. Is this their issue?
Sure. I mean, it's motivational to their base and to some swing voters, driving them to Biden. How motivational is it is another question. I mean, this is a very close race. It's probably going to come down to 3 or 4 states. If you look at it now, Trump's, in the current polls at 272, so he's over. Biden needs at least a 3% margin, if not more, in the popular vote to win the electoral vote. And he doesn't have it right now. So he's doing anything he can to rev the base.
Is Trump disciplined enough to steer clear of this issue? He's crowed in the past about how he's the one who got rid of Roe. Just in the last week, he set up an easy attack for the Democrats on Social Security and Medicare, which are very popular, especially among older voters. Is he disciplined enough to really stick with it in this election cycle?
I don't think Trump's disciplined about anything. Anything could happen in this race. This race, if it's a card game, there are a dozen cards in the deck that are pure wild cards.
We should remember, though, that abortion has been on the ballot in a couple of states post-Dobbs. Places like Ohio and Arkansas, and the results have been overwhelming.
Even in places like Kansas, in
That's
red
right.
states.
Yes.
Red states, right. Former U.S. Attorney Rachel Rollins, who resigned over using her position to influence the race for Suffolk County DA, she was found to have violated multiple policies and lied under oath. She has now landed at another public sector job at Roxbury Community College. This is a part-time position helping develop curriculum and services for the formerly incarcerated. It also comes with a $96,000 salary for the part-time work. Adrian, is this appropriate?
Yeah, I think she'll be great at Roxbury Community College, and I think they need what she'll bring to it.
What do you think, Rob?
Well, I look at it outside of Rollins. I mean, to me, it's just interesting that, you've got another former politician who gets a job for the state. It's kind of more of the same in Massachusetts. It's the same old network.
All right, spring arrives this week. That means here in New England, a lot of town meetings on the docket in the next couple of weeks. Attorney General Andrea Campbell wants to send a clear message about the state's multifamily housing law. She's suing, as we know, the town of Milton for their no vote on the MBTA's community law. She's hoping to have that case in front of the SJC by May. So the towns have to approve this zoning that would allow these new multifamily units. I will tell you, I live in a small town, relatively small town in Greater Boston. It's MBTA adjacent. We don't have T-service. We have to add hundreds of new housing units. But at the same time, how do you square the state law with the democratic process in these towns that it has to get through and has to get approved?
I mean, Campbell's argument, which I think is right, is that towns like Milton cannot hold a town meeting and simply opt out of state law. And why should they be able to? We're in the middle of a housing crisis, and everybody is going to have to play a role in easing it.
You're circumventing the town legislative process, though, Rob, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me is I think Milton's onto something here in surfacing the fact that the MBTA and the state haven't met their side of the bargain. We don't have rapid transit in our community, but we're having to increase housing by rapid transit amounts. So I think other communities are going to latch onto this in terms of fighting back against the MBTA. There's a lot more to come in this fight.
Yeah, everybody's watching.
Lydia Edwards, State Senator Lydia Edwards said Milton must be crushed because all these other cities and towns are lining up to do the same thing. And I think she's right.
And it's going to go into the courtroom.